Well, hello. As you recall, last time I had asked the question, does God answer prayers? And I really want to thank everyone who emailed me about this, although I didn't get any public comments. Several people emailed me with their stories, and I really appreciate that. I know this is an intensely personal subject, and I thank people for their candor and honesty and insight into their own experiences. And based on the feedback that I've received, plus my own personal experience, I think the perception is for a lot of people, myself included, frankly, that yes, God does indeed answer prayers. Not always in the way we want or the timeline we want or with the specific answer that we may have thought we wanted. But maybe there's a greater wisdom at work here than we can really appreciate. I mentioned there were a couple times in my recent past where I had experiences where I was in very perilous situations and sort of in desperation, I cried out to God for protection or help. And you know what? I got it. Now you could say, well, you would have anyway. Who can say? These are questions of faith. And in my particular case, my faith and my belief is yes, they were answered. Now, to give you a story from my past, if you don't mind going back in time about 50 years, there was a time when I did not always feel this way. I may have mentioned before that my teenage years were very unhappy. My high school years were really bad. Home life was really terrible. There was a lot of anger and violence and animosity and unrest and distress and all sorts of things going wrong within my family in my high school years. And to be honest, I just never felt comfortable, and I didn't want to go on. And I can remember praying to God every night that I wouldn't wake up the next day. And this is like every night for 4 years. I just couldn't face the reality of what was happening around me, and I would go to bed every night with the confidence that if I prayed to God that He would take me out of this. And you know what? It didn't happen. Obviously, the fact that I'm still here. Um, and I got through it, and things got better. The further I moved from my from my home, the better I felt. So that stayed true for quite a while until I moved to Texas. Anyway, so there are some things there. This is obviously a big subject, and there's a lot of different interpretations. And I know that preachers and theologians and philosophers have discussed this for a great many years and come to many different conclusions. But I think it requires faith and patience and trust. It's really hard for me to trust people, but I have to trust in God, knowing what is best. That's why even though I pray for further recovery and I don't get it, I trust that there's a purpose for that. And Anyway, if you have any other comments or that, I would love if you'd share them with me and with others. And thanks again for watching, and I hope you'll keep watching. Um, I know I've gotten kind of sidetracked lately writing dad jokes to get broadcast on TV, and that's been kind of fun. But it has distracted me a little bit from this work, which is a bit more serious, I think, and maybe in the long run, a little more valuable. Anyway, thanks again, and we will see you in an upcoming episode.